Welcome to Perusing's Appraisers on Purpose podcast. Our podcast showcases inspiring appraisers and professionals from the industry who are leaders in their field. How did they get to where they are? What have they learned along the way? What can we learn from them? Your host is real estate investor, entrepreneur, and appraiser, Michael Hobbs.
Oh, welcome, friends. Thanks for joining us for another informative, engaging, and entertaining episode of Perusing's Appraisers on Purpose podcast. I'm your host, Michael Hobbs, and so excited to have another just enjoyable and just great all-around person as our guest. But before we get there, I need you to do what only you can do. You know this, and yet it amazes me that only 53% of the people that listen to the podcast actually subscribe. So if you would be generous and call it loving, if you will, friendly even, go ahead and click subscribe, because that tells those powerful networks that, yeah, this is valuable stuff. And there's more people out there that can also benefit, as you have, and shared your positive and encouraging and uplifting feedback. So thank you for subscribing. And of course, you're going to like this podcast because we have Lisa with us. Lisa, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm super excited. I love talking to you, and we probably would make this 5 hours long if people would allow us, because we have much to talk about.
You know what? Yes, and yes, but no. So we'll probably keep it around an hour. So it doesn't mean, as many of our community knows, that we have our bonus podcast recording that'll come up sometime in the future, so we can continue on after the first hour. I don't know that we'll let the 5, but we don't have to know that it's just so truncated there. But wow, so excited, Lisa. We would love to know, were you born this way, or how did you come to get involved in the appraisal and valuation industry?
Yes, seemingly simple but deeply complex question.
Yes.
When I hear that, what I hear is obviously, so it takes me back to the moment of birth, which I obviously do not recall. But I think about, when I gave birth to my son 24 years ago, baby, there they are, baby comes out, clean them all up. And then what do? They run away, put a little ink on his little foot, and they record his footprint, right?
Yeah.
That's the first indicator that this is a unique human being that nobody has come before and nobody will come after. So it all starts to me with that footprint. I mean, it's literally the best metaphor of all times. You are told that your footprint matters, such that we have to record it. And if you remember, as a person, as you grow up, to follow that footprint, then you will both have been born this way and ended up the way you should be. So, and depending on how loud and deep and passionately connected you are to your footprint, you either get there because you can't have it any other way. There is no other way to see the world. And you look every day for everything that sits in front of you, say, is this toward this thing that I just have to do, or I will just go insane? Or is it away from the thing that I want to do, or I will just go insane? So I would say, and you and I had talked, Michael, that both of us are people who take voracious notes, meaning a word, a sentence, piles of paper. I do the same thing. And I think that's how I end up in a space where I'm doing exactly what I was meant to do, because I was looking, where does my footprint make the most sense?
Love that. What a thoughtful response. So basically what you're telling me is, when you came out of the womb, they stuck your foot in a little bath of concrete, and you've just never been let go of since.
No, I have this deep burning in me. Of course, I didn't know what this was when I was a little kid, but
of course,
the thing that has never left me, that I can't leave, and that I have to do every day, is I have to make connections between things. And that's how I ended up here at the foundation, being, the helper of the author of USPAP, because for me, everything that matters, well, where's that connect? And where does that connect? I keep going down the pyramid or up the pyramid or whatever the saying is, to find the deeper connection. I'm constantly chasing that. It's like a hobby.
Love it. Wow. That's something else. Now, if I'm not mistaken, you're out in that lovely part of the country that is in the vicinity of Mile High location. So have you spent your whole life out that way?
No. So I originally grew up, the first couple years we were kind of out in the boondocks-ish. Then we went to the boondocks galore, which is the pig farm in Minnesota. Wow. My parents are they very much follow their path. They're like, this isn't right. We're going to just totally do a 180. So here's my dad selling UNIVAC computers when computers were, the size of your living room. And he came home one day to my mom and he said, yeah, you know what? How about we just ditch this and go be pig farmers? And mom's like, let's do it. So just like that, we're packing up and we bought a farm and dad made every mistake under the planet on that pig farm.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
In fact, this is even funny. We laugh about it now. Even buying the farm, he made a mistake because there's only certain kind of soil that works certain kind of ways. He had no idea that he had bought a farm that is just infested with all types of growth problems. So he started out with a very bad product to begin with. But, it was one hilarious episode after another, basically, until we moved to Colorado later.
Oh my gosh. That's an experience. I don't know that people can appreciate the experience of pig farming until they've spent time in close proximity or downwind of the pig farm.
Have you spent time in close proximity with the pigs?
My dad grew up on a farm. So
what kind of farm? What did they raise?
Yeah, now we're talking. Now we're getting, as they say, in the weeds. So Grandpa had a farm back. We're going to say Grandpa passed away a couple years ago. So he came back after the war and bought a farm outside of Fort Knox, Kentucky. And they raised cattle, they raised hogs, and they had rotational crops. So corn, soybeans, alfalfa, and tobacco. Oh. So there was a lot of activity on that farm.
Well, how much time did you spend there?
We spent, let me see here. Growing up, it felt like we were there every single weekend.
Oh, good.
So we would pile in the car and it wasn't too far away. It was under an hour away. We'd drive down and my dad would get back in and join the siblings because he was I think he was one of the first ones to get married. I joined his siblings and Saturday was a full work day. So he'd be there farming with the family. And I can remember that went on for a long time until myself and my brothers had gotten to the point in playing sports and, we were quite competitive and traveled a significant amount. So that got in the way of getting back. But we spent tons of time down on the family farm.
I think our family farm was, without me knowing it, because I love to make connections, probably the first connection I had to appraising because guess how big our farm was? It was 360 acres. Well, everybody recognizes that as a half section, which is an appraiser term. So little did I know I was already in the appraisal bucket as a small child.
Oh my gosh, that is great. How much fun. Oh my goodness. So how did you ever break away from the pig farm? Once you're there, as they say, that kind of just gets in your skin.
Yeah, well, yeah, ha. So my my dad went from working at UNIVAC to making, massive amount of money and into the pig farm, which they proceeded to go very poor very quickly. At one point we were finally on food stamps, pretty much welfare. And my mom, who had grown up on a farm, after doing this farming after a year, she said to my dad, why did I agree to do this? I remember how painful it was. But they lasted for many years. And finally, one day again, my parents said, well, we are certainly sick and tired of being poor. And my dad's friend from the military said, hey, you know what? If you move to Colorado, they're going to put this big mine in Gunnison. Oh. So if you come to Gunnison, this small town, the real estate's going to go crazy. So we're going to start a real estate business. So again, my parents didn't even sell the farm because they didn't have time. They didn't want it. They wanted to go and leave. Wow. Picked up, then we moved to Colorado.
Wow, that's amazing. So how old were you? Like 10 at that point?
Let's see. It was January 1st, 1979. So what was I like? I was born in 1967. It's like 12.
Yeah, 12. Yeah, totally makes sense.
12. Yeah.
Oh yeah, so you were more than old enough to remember life on the farm. I mean, that was a real thing.
Yes, that was that's like the key growing years of your formulating kind of your beginning philosophy, you know. So yeah, I definitely have that in my bones, even though I've been away from it for quite a while. But a lot of my family still owns their farm, so not like I don't get to see them very often. I do, so it's good.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. How did, when you look back, I mean, so many of our childhood influences guide us towards certain experiences or opportunities and definitely repel us from others. How did that influence you?
Yes, yes. So I think, as I said, I love to draw connections. And then when I was in high school, I'll say make you, because I know that's how most people feel about this particular thing I'm going to say. They make you read Animal Farm, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah, George Orwell. Sure.
Yes. So they made us read Animal Farm, only it blew my mind. So luckily we were reading it. We have to read it during track season, and you had like several months to read it. So every time we got on the bus to go to the track meet, I wanted to read the book to everybody else on the bus because they didn't want to read it, and they were thrilled. So I would read the book out loud to everybody on the bus that book just blew my mind that you could talk about one topic but actually be talking about another. And so I started down my path of words and foundations right then and there, but I didn't recognize that till much later.
Oh, okay. Wow. That's impressive. I'm just really in awe that the original books on tape came from you. I'm like, oh my goodness. I remember that. You know, when I was a teenager, my dad
saw that, huh?
Yeah. My dad took a job and he had to travel a lot. So once I became old enough to drive, my summers were spent driving him around the Midwest. And a lot of time was spent with different, books on tape, different educational programs, 6 cassette program kind of things. I just didn't know that you were a voiceover artist there, Lisa.
Well, did you read Animal Farm? Did you like it?
Oh my goodness. That was definitely one of those, like, I look back on sometime in high school, I had to read it. Right. And clearly I didn't spend time on the bus to and from the games reading it or have someone read it to me. So it was definitely one of those, like, this is not like anything else I've read.
Yes, it is. It is. Still is. Yes.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree with you on that. My goodness. So that's amazing. So that's what got you to Colorado, and then you've been there ever since.
Yeah. And I've just kind of circumnavigated. I mean, we were in Gunnison for a while, but then again, at some point, my parents looked at each other and said, well, okay, after they move there for the mine and they get everything all set up and they're ready to make some money, the announcement in the paper is, oh, the mine's not coming. And my parents are like, so you live over here. We don't have any jobs. So my dad went into construction, like literally pounding nails, at a ski resort, Crested Butte, for quite a while. And then they got tired of being poor again. And they said, all right. So my mom owned a daycare center at that time. And my mom was like, I can get a job running this daycare center in Denver. And they're like, fine, let's go. Pack up. Boom. Here we go again, moving to the Denver area. So that's how I ended up in Denver area. And then my dad proceeded to get a job at Kellogg Lumber, which was a lumber company.
Oh, okay.
Selling lumber. And he hit it just at the right time. Right? As this is where I got some more little hints about appraising. He hit it right as the building boom was beginning. So my dad ended up being the #1 lumber salesman in the nation. So they retired extremely well, they just had faith in their path, is all I have to say.
I love that. That is fantastic. Good for him. And well, you got to draw upon his prior electronics and computer sales experience.
He did. And then, I would work with him. Like I would go help and, Dad would never say I helped build the buildings when he was doing construction because I had too much creativity. I would make too many stories up and get lost and never finish my tasks. But I was there. So I stuck some things in. So I learned a lot from my dad just about how buildings work and, built construction and all that. So a lot of that just kind of seeped into me.
That's impressive. That is really, really impressive.
My dad would never say I was. He, in fact, if you ask him how well did Lisa do her chores on the farm, he would laugh. I actually almost starved the chickens to death because I was supposed to always feed them every morning. But as I was walking there, something would catch my attention and I would wander off and forget to feed them for 4 days in a row. So, yeah, I wasn't the best chore person on a farm.
I had a hunch that's the way that answer was going to go. Wow, that is something else. So, did you stay and do schooling in that area, or did you move around a little bit and then come back?
Yes, I'm in Denver, and then I went to Metro first, which is like a downtown local little community college right down there. I started out there. Like I literally had no idea what I was doing. I didn't even apply to college. My mom did it for me. She's like, "You're going to college." I was like, "Okay." I mean, I just wasn't planning ahead very well. And so I went to college there for a year. And then my I don't just like I don't know what I was thinking. I thought, gosh, wouldn't it be great to be an astronaut? Okay, that
Oh,
makes no
love
sense
it.
whatsoever. And then my mom said, "Well, at CU Boulder, they have the astronaut program. Why don't we transfer you there?" I said, "Great, let's do that."
Wow.
So I go to CU Boulder, and I go to the very first class, and it's differential equations.
Oh my
Right?
gosh, it's the first class?
Yeah, that's the first class. So, but here is why this is destiny, right? Like, I'm in differential equations. This is the first day of class, and we're all there. The class is about to start, and this guy walks in, and he is late. And I'm like, that guy is late. That's what I'm thinking in my mind, right? I was just very judgmental of him. So I go on, the class ends. The next one is like it was intro psychology or something like that. So I go to that class starts, in comes this guy again, Mr. Late Guy. And I'm like, that late guy again, what the heck? What can you? So then class ends. I go to the third class, and this one is some kind of calculus class. And I walk in, and there's a guy sitting in the back row, and he waves at me. And I'm like, "Oh, hey, friend," because I knew him. So I went and sat by him. Class is about to start, and in comes Late Guy. And he waves at Late Guy. I'm like, "You know Late Guy?" And he's like, "Yeah, that's my brother." I'm like,
That's my brother.
anyway, this is my future husband. This is how
Really? Are you
so
kidding me?
I did not survive becoming an astronaut. None of it made any sense to me. I couldn't even understand what they were saying in the classes. So there. There's my fate for that part of it.
That's fantastic. I mean, you went to find the right stuff, but you found the right stuff.
Oh my gosh. That's
Our young
funny.
listeners have no idea. That's okay. Look it up. Look it up, my friend. Look it up.
Yes. Look.
Holy cow. So what did you do after you finished up, not being an astronaut?
Oh, yes. After there was one, yes, because one of the classes I took, I earned an F. Like I went every day. I did all the papers. I paid attention. I hired a tutor. I actually earned an F. It wasn't a failure. It was just like literally that's as much as you can know. And I'm like, I can take a hint, So I dropped out of that program, and then my parents.
When you were still in the astronaut program?
Yeah, I was still in the astronaut program. I earned my F. I'm very proud of that F because I didn't quit. I just literally don't get it, and that's good information to know.
That is very good information to know. Holy smokes.
Trying to figure out what to do, and I just thought, well, I have no idea, but I like art. So I went into art history and ended up with an art history degree and eventually with a teaching certificate, thinking that I would teach. So I'm getting closer to appraising, but not yet.
Wow. So how did your pursuit of that path, how did it work out?
So I get my teaching certificate and graduate, and I have to now after a job, right? So I start out and I'm subbing for teaching, and I realize as I'm subbing, I'm like, you know what? All I ever actually like doing was writing lesson plans. I don't actually want to deal with the children. So I was telling me to myself, like, this is not your path, but I didn't know what to do. And then my mom came and she said, hey, there's this guy. He's an appraiser. He needs someone to type for him. I mean, mind you, I have a college degree now, right? He needs someone to type for him for $6 an hour. And I'm like, wait, type what? Well, reports about what? Data and stuff. Really? Yeah, yes, I'll take that. So I went, and for $6 an hour, I went and typed for this appraiser.
Amazing. So you were earning a respectable income and you're typing stuff.
Typing stuff. Yeah, this stuff. But I as soon as I heard that there was a job that was just about connecting the dots, that I was like, I'll figure it out. I'm going to start at the bottom. I don't care. I know I will figure out how to get a license just by starting it. So
yes. Amazing. So you get to start typing with a residential or commercial reports back then?
So this was actually a married couple, and they ran the business out of their rented little tiny condo unit. So I'm sitting in their kitchen working every day.
So you were like an adopted child.
I went, and for the privilege of this $6 an hour job, it was so far away from my home. I drove an hour and a half each way, so I had 3 hours of driving to get to and from my $6 an hour job.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So you get a 1.5 hour drive both ways, and you can't even read Animal Farm to yourself because you're driving.
What a pity, huh? God,
Oh, can't believe it. What are we going to do about it? Oh my gosh, that is something else. But I would hope that since you were in this intimate work setting, that you got lovely home cooked meals.
No. Do these people, how people just have strange energy?
Yes.
They have both passed away, so I can say this out loud. They had strange energy. And meaning there was a lot of foot tapping and angry typing. It was a tough environment to be in, just because they were both deeply unhappy for some unknown reason. They eventually did get divorced, and I don't know if they continued on with the appraising or not. But because I was going to all the appraisal events, I found other people, and I found other people to supervise me. And it took me a couple of years to find a supervisor. At that time, it was pretty normal. But I eventually did find a supervisor who I could stick with because she was great. She became pregnant and had to go on bed rest. So then I had to do all of her work while she was home. So that was great for me.
Wow.
And I just slowly, entered the profession, if you will.
Yeah, they were kind of drawing you in. So when you were typing, did you ever get more involved than just typing reports? Or was that not until you went over and worked with another professional who ultimately ended up on bed rest?
Yeah, I really never did anything except those first 2 years. I was just all admin, no matter who I was working for. It's just, you remember the days of going to drive and pick up the photos at the photo mat and typing the photos into the documents and driving the photos to the client. I mean, driving the reports to the client. So mostly I was doing all of that, but I was secretly like reading them.
That's fantastic. So you were actually self-educating. So you were ahead of what's that company that LinkedIn bought a handful of years ago, lynda.com for $20 billion. So you were an early starter on the self-education path.
Is that what lynda.com is?
Yeah. It's it's a lot of the content and education that LinkedIn provides to its user base.
So if it's self-education.
Well, it's not exactly self-education.
Oh, okay.
So someone creates the content as you would have been doing. Someone's got the report, you're reading it and you're learning. And then if you were sharing it, then you could be like they were.
Ah, okay. I got it. Okay. So then I'll continue on. So I'm reading the reports, and eventually I am going to take my appraisal classes, right? And this is right exactly when licensing is begin. I mean, I don't even think the people I worked for had a license. So they had to gain one too. I was just totally beginning right at that moment.
Yeah.
And I had to take that first USPAP class.
Yes.
It wasn't I don't even know what it was called back then. But I had to take that first class. And at this point, I have spent a lot of time still falling in love with words and seeing the music in sentences. So I would read books not for their content, but to try and find the most perfect sentence. Like just everything about it just was like wonderful. The sounds of it, the way it was
amazing.
Yeah, I was just deeply in love with words. I've up to like 2,000 books in my house at that point, and they're all only thing underlined there is the sentences that I love. What was I even talking about? Where am I left?
You were working for a lady who was on bed rest.
Okay.
And you
I know. USPAP. Okay.
gaining experience.
Okay. So I'm in my USPAP class, and two things occurred in my mind when I'm reading this USPAP document. One is I'm blown away. I can see the layers and the connections across the pages, like kind of like just like blows my mind into outer space what they did with these few pages. And I thought, how did they do that? And the second thing I thought was this class could be done better. That's what I thought.
I said almost everybody who's ever taken it. So thank you.
Yes. So at that point, I actually didn't know I thought this directly. As I work backwards, I see that's where I was going with it. But I'm kind of simplifying the story right now. In recognizing that, you know, it was new that appraisers had to take USPAP education. So of course everybody's gonna be like, well, what does that look like and how do we do that and blah blah blah. And we worked that out over the years. And every time I took the course, everything kept improving. It kept moving and moving and moving. And at some point in there, I just remember thinking to myself, gosh, I think that my life purpose is to help write the courses and to help out with that. So that's where all I ever aimed for after that. Not directly. I never thought I want to work at the foundation. I didn't really even know about the foundation. I just thought, I want to help with the content is where my mind was.
I have to say that is absolutely fantastic. So at what point did you help her get off of bed rest and get more active?
So she had the baby, and then we worked together for many years.
Great.
I eventually went off on my own and, just kind of did that for years. The moment where it really changed for me, where I could actually head towards the foundation, but I didn't know that again. Like I don't ever know exactly where I'm headed. I just kind of like say like that feels right. I'm going that way.
Yeah.
The moment that changed for me was somebody contacted me and said, we know that you do these wacky, crazy data reports, and we are from the governor's office here in Colorado, and we want someone to do a study about solar and how it impacts value. And can you help us find that person? That's what they said to me.
Okay.
So I was like, sure, I can help you find that person. So we got all these RFPs together. We did all of this interviews. And at the end of it, the governor office ended up saying, we don't like anybody. Why can't you do it? I'm like, well, I said, I don't know a darn thing about solar. They're like, well, you'll figure it out. I'm like, okay. So I realized that was like my first start into that dream job because I ended up with a 400-page report and I just got to go all different directions and study they just paid me for like 3 months of my time to just do this. Yeah. So
what a great experience to be learning and earning at the same time.
Isn't that great that USPAP gives that to you? Because it says you get to, if you're not competent, you get to tell people you're not, and you get to explain how you're going to get there.
Yes.
That has been a life changer for me. As long as, I know that I can figure it out and they're willing to give me that time. I love that gift in USPAP of not requiring me to be competent from the very beginning. That's
a great one. Now, if clients understood that and appreciated as much as you do, that'd be fantastic.
I know. Like some people are just like, you have to know what you're doing before you start. Like, well, why? Don't you want me to learn something new? Don't you want me to be excited?
Oh my gosh, that is solid stuff. So, did your 400-page product become a bestseller?
Well, it did. It was free for everybody. And it's the only thing, the name of it. The impact of photovoltaic systems on market value and marketability. There you go. That was the name of it.
That just screams of sex appeal and billion-dollar movie with A-list stars.
Yes. I think that like literally nobody read it, but if they were my friends, they pretended they did. So I got a lot of people who definitely read the cover. I don't think anybody ever read the whole thing.
Oh wow, that is way too good, way too good. So that's great that the quality of your work was being recognized by other people, because you also spent some time working for local government, didn't you?
Yeah. So then once you do something like that, like write a 400-page paper that nobody reads, at least they know you care to do the work.
Got it.
It's not necessarily that they need to, you know that. They just know like, yeah, you're gonna work hard to figure it out, even though all I'm gonna do is read the final answer. And that's a good thing. So it's like it's its own calling card. I don't have to do any marketing anymore. So nobody's reading it, but they all know that there's this lady out there who will do that level of work. And so so everything kind of just started stacking up faster and faster, kind of rolling along, like getting hired to work with the regulatory office here to do investigations, working as a hearing officer for the assessment office, and then eventually kind of falling into like construction defect work.
Yep.
Because those particular lawyers like literally needed a 400-page report, and were willing to pay for it, pay for the time of it. So yeah, I don't know.
Love it. Love it. So what was your first opportunity working in a government type office?
I think it was that doing the investigations for people who have complaints against them, and then I was doing the investigations on those complaints, and that's a whole nother incredible learning process. It teaches you a lot about humility. You cannot come into these thinking I'm going to find what's wrong here. I mean, these are humans with jobs, and
Absolutely.
you've got to work to really understand what they were doing, because it's really hard to write an appraisal report that says everything in it that you're thinking.
Yep.
So the people who I worked under were very much like that. That was the great thing about the Colorado investigators, is they all approached it with a sense of humility and not like I'm gonna get you.
Yeah, because there's no such thing as perfection. And like you said, you earned an F. So you're looking for people to at least do better than earn an F. But if the passing grade is 70%, then fundamentally you got to look at it and say, well, is it passing? It's a fascinating challenge.
That's a good way to phrase that. I like that.
Oh my goodness. So you got that first opportunity, and I thought at some point, so I remember talking to you back in the day when you were doing all that solar work. It goes way back, and you spent some time doing some assessing as well, didn't you?
Not directly. I did the hearings for them.
The hearings.
So my husband is an assessor.
Oh, so really?
We have a lot to talk about just in our life in general, but then also we can talk about that, which is actually fun. We do that as well. Yeah.
Talk about stimulating dinner conversation.
Hey, this is why we get along. And always have.
Oh, the right stuff talks about the right stuff.
Oh my gosh. I love the connections. Thank you.
Yeah, we're all there on that one. Absolutely. So many of our listeners have not participated in valuation in the ad valorem space, and here you are functioning in a particular role. What was that experience like, and what did it teach you?
Wow. So hearings are 15 minutes long, and this is how much prep I get. None. You're sitting in the office, and you have no idea what property you're going to see. Well, I'm sorry. The address is on the list. Next, you'll be talking about this. You go, okay, this property. Person walks in. You have a total of 15 minutes to have the conversation about what's wrong and then to make a decision. I don't get to read all of the data. That's not how this goes. It's a very quick yes or no, this way or that way. And it's a different way of thinking, because you really dive deep into that concept of scope of work, because your scope of work is like the size of a peanut.
Yeah.
And that's a really good lesson to learn, because you can get caught up in the things you want to do to solve an appraisal problem. Like you just can't get excited, or you feel like you want to do more. But really, it's just all about the risk that the client wants to take, and you have to understand that. So
Yes.
scope of work can be the size of a peanut, or it can be an entire peanut farm. And this taught me just that value of that scope of work and the way it's worded in USPAP, why it's so helpful, and it reflects the way the profession really needs to operate, which is with great flexibility.
Wow. That's something else. I mean, it's an interesting challenge too, like you said, to have such a limited amount of time, try and render some type of opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. The very first one, I was like, what? Don't want to take this home? Don't do, can I do some research? Nope, nope, nope. Whatever's in front of you, that's what you make the decision on.
Wow.
All right. So then I learned really, really quick to control the meetings, not with an iron fist, but like with a velvet fist almost. In order,
I like that. Oh my gosh, that's fun.
I needed to make sure that the people, because when people have a story to tell and they're passionate, what happens is they will say the same thing 4 times in a row because they feel important. So I had to work really hard to get them to stay on topic, but to still make them feel I'm listening to them. So I would have to help them move their story along and not get lost in the weeds that don't matter. And I started to do a lot of work in that space in my mind with those people. Yeah.
That's fascinating. Yeah, what a great way to go about that. Absolutely great way to go about it. The experience around ad valorem and of course the tie-in with your husband, is that something you continue to do? Or I mean, obviously you have a different role now, but
Yeah.
was that a long-standing thing that you did, or was that just a little short experience?
No, it was years long. I loved it because it only happened for a certain period of time during the year, a couple months. And I did have to leave everything, the actual appraising, actually doing it behind is when it came to the foundation,
I see.
which was totally fine. But yeah, so now I just do the foundation work. That's my full time.
Got it. How long were you involved in the appeal process?
Oh, I don't know. At this point,
Like a year, 5 years, 10 years?
Yeah, probably 5 years.
Oh, okay. So you saw all kinds of things.
Yeah, it might have been 7, but I don't know at this point. Yeah.
What would from a standpoint of people that either perform those type of evaluations, or for even property owners that are, seeking better representation, what were your biggest observations and takeaways being involved in the process?
The market right now is tough for appraisal companies. Many companies are having a hard time getting enough work with the same marketing they used to. Is your company struggling, having a hard time getting new customers, or getting additional work from existing customers? The answer to this problem is easier than you think. Do more business with the people you already know. Over 10 years, the average U.S. appraisal firm meets over 17,000 potential customers. That's a lot of people you could be doing business with right now. But it's a big problem if you don't have a proven process to communicate with them. StoryLux turns this problem into an opportunity to grow. Our advanced AI marketing tool can rebuild your contact lists and harvest long-forgotten communications. Imagine reaching out to everyone you've ever met with just one click. For the cost of 1 or 2 appraisals a month, StoryLux helps you reconnect and market to people who already know you, like you, trust you, and want to do business with you. Act now by contacting StoryLux today to turn your business growth dreams into reality. Email appraisal@storylux.com. That is appraisal@storylux.com. And now back to part 2 of the episode.
Just work to find your own personal 2 sentences that you're trying to communicate. Trust that I'm an expert and I know what I'm looking for. Don't do things like bring 100 photos and want to go through them. That I'm an expert at seeing properties so fast that you could just I can, how you are as an appraiser. You pull up the MLS data, you can go through property photos so fast, and you know what the house is. But they don't know that. They think you don't understand their house. It's like, no, I understand property. Tell me your sentences and let me guide you towards what I need from you instead of thinking what I need from you.
Wow. That's a great point. And given that you're someone who loves words and the ability to communicate, well, how do people do this?
Well, there were definitely times like you have people who love data like I do and will absolutely come to the meeting with their 500-page book of data. I deeply respect that and I understand that. And that's my tendency as well. And I can get lost in that. And people often get emails from me where they just go, "Oh no," because they're just wrong. I haven't found my sentences, if you will.
Yeah.
So a lot of times in those meetings, I will take their book and I will say, hand me your book. Let me see it. And I will put it in front of me. And I say, "Okay, I'm not going to open this up. In 2 words, tell me what you think this book says." And then they get frozen. I said, "Okay, 2 words is too limited. We got 2 sentences. What is your most important point?" Then we can talk,
Wow. That's wow. That really forces one to be attentive, thoughtful, and to the point.
Yeah. And I learned that in college in my Shakespeare class because I'm also deeply in love with Shakespeare. Because that professor was like, "Here's your test. Have a maximum of 5 sentences to answer for each question." And then the question would be like, "What's the meaning of life?" And he'd be like, "Oh." So he forced you to synthesize it and make it direct. And then like that was also a skill it took me a long time to work towards because at one point I had to hire a lawyer for something.
Really?
And yeah. And when I hired him and I was giving him some information, I of course oh well let me back up a little bit. Do you want me to tell you that story really quick?
Sure.
Okay. So I hired this lawyer and a complaint was filed against me, right? But don't worry because in the end that was found completely clean and that's why I was hired by the board to do investigations because they realized they did everything correct. So let's just put that to the side. The complaint was filed against me, and of course you get that in the mail. Well, I don't know. Of course, I'm just going to say me, and you burst into tears. Ah, my life is over, right? That's what you do.
Yeah.
So what's the next thing you do? You call your dad, right?
Oh, yeah.
Dad, my life is over. And you're expecting some sympathy, like, "Yeah, it's terrible. How are you doing?" No, what does my dad say? "Well, join the club. Everybody gets sued. Everybody gets sued eventually." Oh, okay.
Talk about a warm embrace.
I know. So that snapped me right back to reality. And he goes, "You will get the best lawyer you can find." I said, "Deal." So I went and got this lawyer. It was incredibly expensive, but he was the best I could find.
Yes.
And he said, "Explain to me what happened." Well, so what did I do? I killed myself practically for about a week, just pouring every thought I had onto paper. And I came and I gave him this, like a whole box full of information. And he was like, "This is too much," And so I saw him take my too much, if you will, and turn it into a page and a half. And I was like,
Really?
Wait a minute. How did he do that?" And then I became obsessed with how do you do that? How do you take much and make it little and make it say the same thing?
Sure. Love that. How do you do that? What a simple but profound, not 2-word, but pretty short sentence.
Yeah. I mean, don't you find that it's hard to do to say it?
Oh, absolutely. I joke all the time that I don't really know it until I can actually teach it to somebody else. And I may not be a good teacher, but until I can get something closer to it, that's exactly the case. It takes a different level of understanding and I'll use the word familiarity. Maybe that's not exactly the right way to describe it with the concept or content so that I can then convey it simply and succinctly for somebody else. Otherwise, I don't remember which famous person first said it, but I would have written you a shorter letter if I had more time.
That's got to be Mark Twain. There's no way it can't be anybody else.
I think it's Mark Twain. That's who I normally attribute it to, but every once in a while I get it wrong. So
it's okay. He doesn't mind.
Thank you for letting me know that. I feel much better now. Oh my gosh, that is too much fun. Way too much fun. So because of this, you mentioned having had the opportunity to work for a number of years in the profession, and you had obviously worked with someone and been around it for quite a while. Did you focus in a geography or in a property type or in anything specific, or was like, hey, I just live in, this part of Colorado, and as assignments come up, I'm going to take them and I'll be competent by the time I deliver the report?
Yeah, that is really where I went. I was just like, I'll take anything that sounds like it will take me 6 months. Now, I obviously did regular work in there as well, because you got to have that I call that like the little candy gems. Like, you just kind of have a relief, like, okay, look at a house, have the report done in 2 days. Got to have those in there to just kind of like relax a little bit, right?
Got it.
But I definitely was always on the hunt. No, I wasn't even on the hunt. I was just welcoming of anybody that was like, hey, we have something that's so complex, we don't even know how to unwind it. I'm like, yes, thank you.
Oh, you're speaking my love language.
I know. Then they get the report and they go, do you think I'm going to read this 500-page thing? No, but the sentence you're looking for is on page 7. That's the one you're going to repeat to everybody. Now, if they question you, you have every single answer you need.
Wow. That is indeed an experience of it. So from the governor's office to getting to work in and around property assessments, how did you first come in contact with an appraisal organization in the state or beyond the state?
Oh, like at you mean the foundation, the appraisal foundation?
You mentioned the foundation. A lot of people may not know that. In addition to your current role, you'd been involved there previously.
Oh, right. Okay. So yes, I do work full time at the Appraisal Foundation now. So before that opportunity became available, somebody, quote, didn't read but did read my photovoltaic study, and they were apparently the foundation was working on green energy related, guidance. And they said, "Oh, call that lady. She seems to know everything there is about green." Well, I didn't, but I was willing to learn. And so someone called me and said, "Hey, do you want to be a subject matter expert and help us write these documents?" So that's how I got in there. And then from there, eventually I applied to the Appraisal Practices Board. I was on that for a while. Then when that was closed or folded, I don't know what the correct word is, on January, I think it was right around my birthday when I was turning 60. It was January. My birthday is January 26th. So it was like right around there when I turned 50. They closed that board down, and then somebody said, "Well, would you apply to the ASB?" And I thought, well, I don't know enough about USPAP to apply to the ASB.
Oh, wow.
And they're like, "Yes, you do." I'm like, "No, I don't." And so anyway, I did get on the board, and I think one of the greater things was maintaining that thought pattern. I don't know enough about this. Like, that's kind of like a key thing to have on this board.
Yes.
Because it's such a beautifully connected, deep document. It's always surprising me. And so I think that's the right attitude to have towards. So I didn't realize that was working in my favor. I thought it was working against me for me to be like, I don't know everything about USPAP.
Oh,
I still don't.
It's not a bad thing necessarily. And you touch on, from a learning standpoint, having had the opportunity to be on both the Appraisal Practices Board and the Appraisal Standards Board. And I know some people actually know the difference, but the vast majority of people don't. What is the difference between those two?
That's a fair question, because there's so many acronyms floating out there that it gets difficult. So the Appraisal Practices Board, for a while, the foundation does not do this anymore. They were writing guidance documents related to like the appraisal of specific types of properties. They were doing that, but they ended up deciding they were not going to continue down that path, and that board folded. But the Standards Board has been there since the beginning. In addition to the Board of Trustees, the two boards that began with the foundation and remain are the ones that write USPAP and the one that write the criteria for how you become an appraiser. That's the AQB.
And so the one that writes USPAP you mentioned is named which?
That's the ASB. So S is for standards. That's how you remember that one.
Yep. And the other one?
AQB, and so Q is for qualifications. So that was how you remember that one.
Oh my goodness. And so, given the role that you're in now and this, very interesting, like you said, never before existed, but intersection between being an astronaut, and a lover of Shakespeare, and then being blown away by USPAP. Never has been said before by anyone. You've got this unique position now. What is it that you do?
I watch my boards the way that my dog watches me, and I look for anything that they need. I'm their technical expert.
Oh, okay.
And so I fill in absolutely any gap. And either I do the work myself or I look for outside consultants to help. So because the board members roll on and off, they're only there for, somebody just a couple years. Somebody has to kind of keep the thread of everything that takes to operate that board. And I have a great staff that helps me as well, that do all the really hard admin work of keeping everything. They keep the train moving. And I'm the one constantly scanning the train to make sure, is this the right train? Do we need to switch trains? What do you guys need? Do you need more food over here? What do you need? So I'm just this big overseer of what do you need? And I prefer that I figure it out before they ask me.
Got it.
That's not a real technical. I didn't tell you what I actually do. I told you the philosophy of what I actually do.
Philosophy of it. Okay. I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
You totally appreciate that. And I mean, in and of itself, that's a wonderful example, as you touched on earlier, of finding ways to learn and earn and contribute.
Yeah. I just want people to succeed. I want them to kind of clench their heart and say, I did it. And I like to be like the coach in the background to go, no, go this way a little, go that way. And then their talents take them there itself.
Yes.
So I'm really there to just be that background person to make sure they can function at their best,
I love that. Wow. I mean, well, Lisa, given everything that you've seen and you've heard and you've experienced, what are you excited about or looking forward to over the next 3 to 5 years?
The hugest project we're working on at the foundation is reconsidering all the qualifications for how to become an appraiser.
Oh,
and
really?
Yeah, that's a big, huge project we have been working on. We have all types of consultants we're working with and just done a ton of research, and we've done it very methodically. And so we expect exposure draft to come out later this year that I highly recommend everybody read.
Okay.
So just knowing the fact that the Appraisal Foundation is so forward moving, so much forward momentum.
Yeah.
That's what excites me, is that I know that my talents are appreciated and I'm right there, lockstep with everybody. Just what can we do to help the profession? And Kelly, who's our president, is the most amazing person at this, because she always focuses on, what can we do with the profession? And she's always looking for those opportunities. So that's what I'm excited about. That's our core mission, and we're really, really living it. It's just not words.
Love that. That's absolutely fantastic. Fantastic. Well, Lisa, as we talked about, we know we have 5 hours of exciting stories to tell, but we're already quickly coming up on the hour mark. And with that, we're going to bring this first time together to a close, not because we're out of excitement and more love of Shakespeare, much less, creativity of USPAP, but because it's about that time. So I just want to say thank you so much for your effusive and really encouraging excitement of not just the profession, but also the structure that allows it to exist.
Thank you very much. I appreciate everybody taking the time to just listen to me babble.
Well, that's one way to look at it. Another way is we're gaining insights, and we appreciate that. Gaining insights. Hey, we're learning as well. So hopefully we can take what we learn and we can apply it, and then we can earn and go forward.
Great. That's great.
Well, friends, thanks for joining us. Definitely we'll have our exciting bonus episode that'll be coming up in the next couple months when we get to reconnect with Lisa and hear about even more exciting opportunities and go even deeper into these. Thank you for joining us and have a fantastic day. Lisa, again, thank you so much.
Bye, everybody. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Perusing's Appraisers on Purpose. We hope you enjoyed learning from the amazing professional paths and achievements of our beloved guests. Before we go, please subscribe on your listening channel, Spotify, LinkedIn, YouTube, and other podcast channels to hear more from appraisers and valuers regarding their life and their work. After you drop a comment below, who is one friend and peer you can generously share this episode with? If you have any suggestions or questions for future episodes, we'd love to hear from you. Just send us a message on LinkedIn and we'll be sure to get back to you. Thanks again for listening, and until we're together again for the next session of Perusings, Appraisers on Purpose, create the change that you seek.